Oh, you're here. I was waiting. It's the fifth week of our series entitled Live Free, where we explore the Ten Commandments in a 21st century context and how we apply them to our lives. Got to figure out a shorter way of saying that. Anyway, it's time for Grace Points. So here we are, fifth week of our series entitled Live Free, where we explore the Ten Commandments in a 21st century context and how we apply them to our everyday living. And last week, we talked about the Sabbath and rest and how important it is, but along with that, how we extend that rest to the world, how we share that with a world that's overworked and overwhelmed and overloaded, how we extend that rest to the world. God follows those first four and how we relate to Him by sharing with us the next six, how we relate to one another. Remember, the commandments are given to us in community. It's more than just how we individually live and how we individually live a righteous life. God gives this to us as a group. He's sharing with us how we as a community of believers relate to Him and relate to one another. So the first commandment that He gives in this kind of second set relates to how we talk or how we have a relationship rather with the people that came before us. Exodus chapter 20 verse 12 says, "Honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you." This is the first commandment in how we relate to each other, and it's the only commandment that comes with a promise. And He starts with our parents. God says, honor your father and your mother. Maybe because it's at the base level, it is a reflection of how we relate to God. Because we are called the children of God. The Israelites were the children of God. And God is telling them how you relate to each other begins with how you relate to me. And you learn to relate to me by how you relate to your parents, by honoring them. And this is great for us in the younger generation because sometimes I think we know more than the previous generation. So God reminds us, you don't know it all, and you need to honor your father and your mother. Well, how do we do that? First, honoring your father and your mother begins with maturity. Everybody say maturity. Yes. It begins with maturity. You got to grow up. You got to understand that you don't know everything. You're not the smartest person in the room. And just because you have technology doesn't mean that you have more wisdom than the previous generation. To honor your father and your mother, and in a more global idea, to honor those in authority over us, we have to express maturity. We have to grow up. But the next thing is learning to exhibit humility. That's right, humility. Growing up also should lead us to humility, where we recognize that there's something that I need from the previous generation, that I don't have it all, I don't know it all, I can't do it all. It requires us humbling ourselves in the presence of the previous generation. Now understand that there's always going to be a little bit of tension sometimes between generations. Because sometimes the younger generation feels like the older generation doesn't understand, and the older generation feels like the younger generation is just a bunch of young whippersnappers who don't get it and don't understand our experience. I don't know where that accent came from. That was a mistake, my bad. We'll edit that out, maybe. I might like it. Anyway, it requires humility. Number one, maturity. Number two, humility. And number three, it requires an appreciation for the previous generation. That's right. Appreciating what they've gone through, appreciating their experience, appreciating their perspective, even if it's different from yours. That prepares us to be able to love and honor God, because there will be times where God is going to flat out tell you, your ways aren't my ways, my thoughts aren't your thoughts. I need you to just follow me, just trust me, just appreciate my God-level perspective. But I want to take it a step further, because there's something implicit in that fifth commandment. Something hidden in there that I think as adults we forget. The Bible tells us to honor our father and our mother, but realize that now a lot of us are the fathers and the mothers. And we have to live a life that's worthy of respect. Don't you get it? God is requiring honor for the father and mother and those in authority. Now, a lot of us are in that position. We cannot expect that the generation after us is just going to blindly follow, blindly honor, just blindly appreciate. No, we have to live lives that are worthy of honor and respect. We have to live lives where we appreciate the generation after us, where we love them, and where we want to guide them and give them wisdom and help and instruction, and where we can appreciate their perspective as well. It's not just one-sided. And God promises that your days will be long on the land I give you. God promises to establish you and to establish your generations. And I'm looking forward to my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren knowing and honoring and loving God, because I want us all saved in the kingdom. This begins our journey in how we relate to each other. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you next week. I pray that you will learn to honor your parents and those in authority over you, and that you will learn to live a life that's worthy of honor and respect. See you next week. This is GracePoints. God bless you.